Hello and welcome. If your calendar invite had you join in the Merrilton Robotics Organizational Communications Workshop, then great work. You're in the right place. My name is Coleman Coffey, and I am the manager of onboarding success here at Merrilton. It looks like, let me see, we have everyone who's signed up, so let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about what we plan to cover today. First and foremost, I'll tell you a little bit about yours truly and why I'm here. Secondly, we'll dive into the motivating factors of why we have organizational communications training here at Merrilton. So in other words, why you're here. We'll discuss the goals of this training module, what it is that we are hoping to accomplish today, followed by some different communication strategies and their attributes, different communications methods and their attributes, and finally, we'll put a bow on everything with a little summary. Nothing too intensive for you today, or at least I don't think so. So a little bit about me. Once again, my name is Coleman Coffey, and I'm the manager of onboarding success here at Merrilton. I've been with the company in this capacity for 5 years now, and I can honestly say this has been the most exciting chapter of my professional journey so far. Before I stepped into this role, I spent a decade working in technical recruiting, helping companies find the right people and helping people find the right opportunities. That background has given me a front row seat to what helps new employees thrive and what also holds them back. What I've learned through all of this is strong communication isn't just a soft skill, it's the foundation of everything we do. I'm passionate about the whys and the hows of business communication, and today I'm really excited to share with you some simple, powerful ways you can use to hit the ground running. Before we dive into the actual tools and strategies, let's talk about why this topic deserves a dedicated workshop. Over the past 2 years, we've been tracking the most common challenges new hires face in their first 90 days at Merrilton Robotics. And what we found was pretty clear. The single biggest hurdle by far was around communication strategy, making up 58% of the roadblocks we tracked. That's significantly higher than other early challenges like getting software permissions under control, information overload, or even insufficient training. Here's the thing. When communication breaks down, it doesn't just cause confusion. It delays project progress, weakens collaboration, and makes everything else harder than it really needs to be. On the flip side, when you build a solid foundation in organizational communication, you start to unlock the solutions to many of those other problems. That's why we're doing this today. This workshop is designed to give you the communication tools you need to reach clarity faster, collaborate better, and ultimately find your rhythm here at Merrilton more quickly and more confidently. So, with regards to what we're actually going to cover today, first we'll look at some actual communication strategies. We'll learn the difference between direct and pivoting paragraph styles and understand the attributes of when to use direct communication. Secondly, we'll look at communication methods, learn when it is appropriate to use face-to-face communication and when, in turn, it's appropriate to use email communication. And we'll understand the attributes that correlate with that face-to-face communication. And then finally, we'll add these new tools to your tool belt in order to put them into everyday successful organizational communication practices. So let's start with our first communication strategy, direct communication. This strategy is all about getting straight to the point. It's designed to define, classify, illustrate, or describe. And it usually starts with the main idea in the very first sentence. That's followed by supporting details to build clarity and understanding. Let me give you a real-world example. Picture a compliance email from our safety team. A direct communication approach would begin with a clear instruction like, all employees must complete the safety checklist at the start of each shift. From there, it might continue with something like, the employee handbook addresses the more specific checklist tied to each role within the company. That's it. No fluff, no buildup. The big idea comes first, and everything that follows supports it. This approach is especially helpful during onboarding, when you're trying to absorb a high volume of new information. It reduces confusion and ensures you don't miss the most important message because it got buried in the middle. Next, let's shift to our second strategy, pivoting communication, which is especially powerful when you need to compare and contrast. This method starts with a limiting sentence, something that presents a challenge or less effective approach, and then pivots to a better alternative. It's great when you need to show contrast or explain why Marylton does something differently from what someone might be used to. Here's an example we often use during onboarding. While some robotics companies strictly rely on waterfall development methodology that can slow innovation, that right there was your limiting idea. Then we move to the pivot. Marylton has combined agile frameworks into their waterfall methodology to bolster efficiency. This structure helps new employees understand not just what we do, but why we do it differently. It's especially helpful when explaining changes, setting expectations, or reframing ideas from past experiences. Okay, so now that we've looked at direct and pivoting, let's uncover some of the attributes that will go along with the first one we looked at, direct communication. First, it offers clarity. The main idea is front and center, right in the first sentence. That means you don't have to dig through a paragraph to figure out what's expected of you. The takeaway is immediate. This is especially helpful when you're learning a process for the first time and don't want to second guess what the message is trying to say. The second, obviously, that goes right along with that is efficiency. Direct communication respects your time. When you're navigating dozens of messages each day during onboarding from your manager or the HR team or the IT team or the training team or anyone else that wants to dive in to take some of your time from you, you can process information faster and stay focused on action instead of interpretation. And third, the one that makes logical sense, of course, is it's all about logical structure. Every sentence that follows the main point is there to reinforce or clarify it. It gives you just enough context to understand why something matters or how to move forward. For new employees, the structured approach makes it easier to absorb expectations and retain information without getting overwhelmed. All right, so let's now shift our training from the strategies of communication to two of the methods that you may use the most here at Marylton. First, we'll look at the face-to-face communication method. This is what we call the richest communication channel. It's ideal for situations that involve persuasion, sensitive feedback, or any message where tone, body language, and trust are especially important. For new hires, face-to-face interaction does more than deliver information. It creates connection, it helps clarify meaning, encourages immediate feedback, and most importantly, it humanizes the onboarding experience. Starting a new job can be intimidating, and we understand that. And a warm conversation can go a long way towards easing the anxiety. A real-world example of this, is what happens on your very first day. Managers often hold one-on-one or small group sessions to welcome new team members, set expectations, and open the door to questions. These moments are perfect for talking about things like team values, communication preferences, or even workplace accommodations. It's in these early conversations that trust is built and culture begins to take shape, something that we take very, very seriously here at Marylton. Next up, talk about another essential communication method, email. Email is one of the most commonly used tools at Marylton, and for good reason. It's ideal for sending routine messages that don't require immediate feedback. It gives both the sender and the receiver flexibility, which is especially helpful during onboarding when everyone's juggling a lot of information at once, as you guys obviously know right now. In the early days of onboarding, email helps prevent information overload during live meetings. Instead of cramming everything into a welcome call, we can space out key details and deliver consistent, standardized information across departments. And the best part, it gives you a written record. So if you forget something, you don't have to ask twice. Just check your inbox. A great example of this is how we use email to send onboarding materials like HR forms, login credentials, benefits documentation, and your initial training schedule. There are items you'll likely need to refer back to multiple times, and an email gives you that freedom to access and review them at your own pace. So now that we've looked at direct communication and email communication, let's turn back to face and look at some of the attributes that go along with it. First, it offers richness of information. When we communicate face to face, we're not just using words. We're also reading body language, tone of voice, and even things like eye contact and posture. These nonverbal cues help us interpret emotion, adjust our approach, and respond more appropriately, especially when we're discussing complex or sensitive topics. Second is immediate feedback. In live conversation, you can ask questions on the spot and get real-time clarification. That's a huge advantage during onboarding. Instead of waiting for an email reply or guessing what someone meant, you get to clear things up immediately, which shortens the learning curve and reduces stress. And finally, relationship building, something obviously that we really want to focus on and then that we really hope continues to build at Marylton. Nothing accelerates connection quite like face-to-face interaction. These conversations help new employees feel seen, heard, and supported from day one. That sense of belonging lays the foundation for long-term engagement and retention, which is something we value very, very deeply. And just like that, congratulations, you've completed your first communication workshop here at Marylton Robotics. Let's quickly recap what we covered today. First, we explored different communication strategies like direct and pivoting and when to use them to make your message land more effectively. Secondly, we looked at different communications methods like email and face-to-face conversations and discussed how to match them with the situation at hand. And then finally, we talked about how applying the right method at the right time can dramatically improve your clarity, confidence, and overall success here. As a final word, I want to share a message from our president, Lauren Smith. You've taken an important step in setting yourself up for success at Marylton Robotics. By applying what you've learned about communication strategies and methods, you'll be better equipped to collaborate, problem solve, and thrive in our fast-paced environment. Keep these tools in your toolkit as you move forward. Your transition into a confident and capable team member starts now. Welcome aboard. And for me personally, I want to say welcome again to Marylton. My name is Coleman Coffey, and I'm here to support you throughout your onboarding journey. If you ever have questions or need help navigating communication here or anywhere, don't hesitate to reach out. We're excited to have you on the team, and we can't wait to see the impact that you're going to make.